I think it was obviously a great event. It's always the final Grand Slam of the year. Brings, all the best players to the finals when everyone wants to finish the year on a good note. I really enjoyed the tournament. I think there was some challenges with the TV showing for a few people, but I think people found creative ways to watch enough of the tennis, and I think that was really nice that tennis can do more because people were clearly wanting to see some great tennis matches. We didn't get some of the dream finals or that we wanted with the Alcaraz-Djokovic men's final. We hope we might see an Iga Swiatek or a Sabalenka, but we did think that, people like a Coco, it was her time to shine. So I think we could have had one or two more matches that we predicted and really some sugars. But, the tournament, there were some great performances, some great comebacks, some great memories. The conditions are always a factor, but overall, it was an amazing tournament. Yeah, I think it was really good. I mean, it was a nice 50th year of the equal prize money. I think that was super significant. Grateful for what Billie Jean King has done to bring, that, to the forefront. New York is something special. I've had the pleasure of coaching there myself. There's something about the energy there, the way that they kind of bring the night matches. We were really late at night, and it's hot. It definitely, you remember being in New York in those conditions because it's physically draining. You're usually sweating a lot during the events, but the energy there is something special, and I think everyone goes to New York at the US Open and they have memories for life. Yeah, I mean, over 2 weeks of a tournament, East Coast, I had the pleasure at Saddlebrook for 9 years playing there, obviously being at the Open, and the humidity at that time of the summer is such a factor that people don't. And obviously the Wilson heavy, balls, it becomes really an adjustment to the conditions, what time of day you're playing at, what the humidity levels are, you a day match, a night match, and it's really tough for players to adjust to those varying conditions. And so this is where you see the teams coming up, preparing their players. Also tactically, playing in the day versus playing in the night, and how you manage yourselves and your games in the different conditions is a huge component of your success, because you might have an opponent that if you play them at night, you're going to have certain things that are going to work well in these conditions. And then if you're playing in the day, you might have to adjust those kind of tacticals because the conditions are demanding more success in certain, patterns or certain longer rallies versus shorter rallies. So you really have to have a very complete game to be successful in these events because of the varying temperatures, the varying humidity levels, and also your opponents, because some opponents play better at certain times of the day or certain conditions. So you always have to have a real range to your game, or tactically have a real good team around that you can execute on certain things to be successful, because you have to win 7 matches, and to win 7 matches in varying conditions against varying opponents. Some players are suffering. They've had really long physical matches and you're playing them when they're physically struggling, versus you're playing players where you're physically tired or not 100%, and then you're playing them and they're fresh as a daisy. So all these factors, it really sets a precedence for the most complete player wins. And also the importance of winning matches efficiently versus not having the best of 5 sets or really long 3 sets, because that can have a reciprocal event on how you perform for the next match. As we see at the US Open, you will have players physically dropping out or physically struggling because of those conditions. And you just got to be fit as an ox and as professional as you can to handle those conditions better than your opponents. Super happy. Congratulations, Coco Gauff and her team. It was something that we kind of, in my prediction, said, this is Coco's time. I believe she had all the things on her side with the addition of a Brad Gilbert, good friend of mine. Shout out to Brad. Great job to you and the team. But credit to Coco for bringing in some extra resources to help her, because Coco has all the skill set. Look what she can do as an athlete. The final against Sabalenka, obviously credit to Sabalenka coming back from a set and a breakdown against Madison Keys and just really turning that match. Says a lot of credit to what she has got mentally and her resilience, her to fight. She got outplayed and she did a really good job putting herself in that final. But Coco, again, down a set. Sabalenka had some momentum. Coco showing her full range of talent, athleticism. I really liked one thing in particular that Coco did, is that she was losing points when the match was getting extended. These some really physical points, and you saw Coco fist pumping, and giving a positive reaction after losing points. And I've not seen that. I think it's very refreshing. If anyone knows Coco, and I don't know her personally, but anyone that ever says anything about Coco, they give her an 11 out of 10 of who she is as a human being. There is so much about Coco that you have to respect. She's a great role model for younger players, and she really took that US Open. She had the team, she had the confidence, she had the execution against some of the best players in the world. She really stepped up to this, handled the pressure well, believed in herself, believed in her ability to win tough matches, and just so happy. But again, great tournament, some great performances from a lot of players throughout the event. But yeah, Coco was the highlight of the US Open finals. The experience in those finals, being in those moments, like there's nothing that can replace experience. And so Coco, yes, she's young, she's 19, she has that fearlessness, that youth, that I'm going to take over the tennis world kind of attitude. You need that. You need that belief system in your abilities. But you also need to put yourself in those biggest environments to kind of learn from them. And I think she really learned from her past experiences. She really knew the adjustments she needed to make with her mindset. I think she enjoyed herself was the key for this tournament. She talked about enjoying her tennis and enjoying those pressure moments more, and you saw her embrace the opportunity. I mean, what a great performance throughout that final that she put in. You never really sensed that she was negative or doubted herself and her abilities. She knew it would be a tough match, but I definitely think she was much more focused on what she was in control of, which was her performance and her execution. And at the very highest level, those players have to find ways to execute under pressure. But if you're so focused on the performance, on what you're committed to doing and the process of that, you kind of allow yourself to find a window where you can be distracted in a good way in what what you need to do in those moments. She had everything that she needed to do to be prepared for that event. She just needed to believe in herself and execute on the day. And credit to her, she kept it simple. She committed to a game plan and she executed it. So it's that simple. It's hard to believe that Novak Djokovic, 24 Grand Slams, what an amazing achievement. He's now matched the all-time leader, but the way he's done it, all the adversity that he has gone through and stuck to his beliefs. I think Novak has gained so many more fans. I think there was a lot of critics about some of the ways that he did things. I've always been a massive fan. He's done things his way. He's been true to his word. Dedication to Kobe Bryant was very sentimental. I thought that was very nice touch, but it was genuine. There's a special component that Novak has, and I think we're starting to see the work that he's doing for other professional tennis players. There's a real side of Novak that we're seeing now that's really putting him in positions to be humble in those opportunities that he gets and to really be able to perform and stay in control of his performance. I don't feel like he's just playing for himself. I think he's playing for others. I think he's trying to leave his legacy. I think he's got all those ingredients that makes him such a complete player, but he really takes every match one at a time. He puts in a performance that is just almost impossible to beat. It takes such a special player to be able to beat Novak. I mean, you saw early in the tournament, down 2-0 he against his fellow countryman, and he found a way. You even felt like Novak's going to find a way here. And his fitness and his supreme confidence, his abilities to win matches multiple ways showed out again. The dream final was Alcaraz and Novak. I felt like there was other players that were capable of pushing Novak in the finals. You've got someone like a Daniel Medvedev, great tournament for now. What a performance in the semifinals to beat Carlos Alcaraz, one of the best players, the hottest players in the world. He played an 11 out of 10, 12 out of 10 performance to beat Alcaraz. Credit to him for outplaying. The reason he did that is because Medvedev believes he's the best hardcourt player in the world. Okay, so does Novak and Alcaraz. They have a thing, but Medvedev has the best record on hard courts. And so credit to him for putting him in the final. But the key part of that final in the Medvedev-Novak came again to that second set tiebreak. Like at Wimbledon, when Alcaraz was able to win that tiebreak, the tiebreak was pivotal. It was an hour and 44, minute second set, pretty much 2 sets in length. But that was such a huge component of the match. If Medvedev, who had set point, would have capitalized on that set point, or the tiebreak. Again, Novak doesn't lose tiebreaks, but Medvedev gave himself a chance. The 4-all point in the tiebreak played an unbelievable point to go 5-4 up to win it and then suddenly lost 3 points in a row. Because to me, one of the things you have to learn for all players is winning a big point is huge, but the most important point is the point after a big point. And I think Novak showed his skills there, because even though Medvedev won the biggest point of that tiebreak, Novak won the next 3. So the point after was the most important point. So that tiebreak shifted, and the moment you're 2-0 down against Novak in a Grand Slam final, I'm sorry, game over. Yeah, he's just too complete. Unless he gets injured or something freakishly happens. Great performance from the Americans again. Ben Shelton, best American that came through this year, but there were so many great performances by. Well, they all had to play each other in the draw. The draw was very, I think, significant for this year's US Open. I think you saw how the draw played out. I think it did factor in, but Novak was the guy to beat in the bottom half of the draw, and whichever American was the best. And then you saw the top half of the draw, it was an Alcaraz, possibly a Sinner. Zverev made a great performance. You saw the Medvedev really had the draw. He had some tricky matches, but Medvedev stepped up and was the best player in his draw, and clearly, the best hardcourt player in that top half outside of Alcaraz. So he clearly deserved his spot. Yeah, so great performances by the Americans, especially Ben Shelton. Great tournament, first semi-final. All the Americans, put themselves, we had, 3 Americans in the quarterfinals, and we did say that I felt the Americans were going to be there. 3 in the quarterfinals was a great effort, and any one of those top Americans is going to have more success in the future. They're so good in those events. It's just a shame that they were all in the same section of the draw. I'd love to have seen more of them play in different parts of the draw, to see if maybe another one of them could have possibly made a breakthrough and played one of those top guys in the quarterfinals, 4th round. Would it be nice to see those matchups better rather than playing each other? I do want to say one thing that I think everyone will notice about what Novak did something very significantly, in my opinion, on the way that he set up for the Shelton match. Obviously, it's a great match for him tactically, but Shelton it's got so much firepower, so much. But what you notice with Novak, and this is that Novak controlled the tempo of the match. What does Shelton do? What is Shelton's biggest strength? Yeah, people can say it's his biggest, his serve, his ability, his forehand. They can talk about this. To me, Shelton's biggest strength is his energy. What he brings, the raw fire, the passion. I've coached against him in college or seen him in college at the NCAAs. The guy has a raw energy, and he just brings so much energy to court. It's intimidating, and he can play on his terms, and he can control the energy on the court and the tempo. The American crowd behind, Novak did a really good job flattening Shelton out. He slowed him down. He played very slow, very deliberate, and it didn't really allow Shelton to bring his number one strength, his energy, his fire. He really deliberately took extra time, maximized, slowed the play clock down. That is called controlling the tempo. And one thing I want for all you players to know is that when a player can control the tempo, they can control the match. You can be completely outmatched in every part of the game of tennis. The guy's got a bigger serve, returns better. He makes more rally balls. He's more aggressive with the thing. You can be completely worse than your opponent and all this, but you can always control something in the match. You can always control the pace that the match is played at within reason. You can slow down your opponent a little bit, but if you can control the tempo and the time between the points, that's where you can have a control factor. And Novak did that tremendously well, but he also did that in the final. If we go back to the 2019 final when Medvedev outplayed Novak in the last US Open final, Medvedev completely outplayed Novak and really controlled the tempo of the match because he won his service games in 1-2 minutes, super fast, blew Novak out, then gave the best return in the game any chance to get involved in serves. But what did Novak do differently? Slowed it down. Yes, Medvedev didn't start the match well, played a pretty poor service game, and so that helped. But Novak was very deliberate in the match to slow things down, to play the match on his tempo, not Medvedev's. Medvedev likes to play quick on his service games and then play differently on the returns. But Novak controlled that tempo in both the semifinals and finals, and I think that was a significant factor in why he was able to play and be so successful in those. He won both semifinals and finals in straight sets. And I think that tempo control and the pace that the match was played at really homed into Novak's strengths. And I think that was one of the main reasons that he learned from the loss at Medvedev in the past, and he brought that element to the semifinal and finals, and that had a big influence on his performances. If Medvedev would have won the tiebreak, I think Novak had the more complete game. I think he had the right, because Medvedev really had to put so much more effort. I would have been surprised. I still feel, but I think that the match would have been better if it would have been more interesting. I think if Medvedev would have won that, but I still feel like Novak had the edge tactically in that match. I'm being very fortunate I've been around some of those players or in those environments. So what you learn from the greatest, and this is not just on the tennis, in any industry, how those players go about their business on a day-to-day basis. They focus on just getting better that day. Realistically, what amateur players need to learn is that it's all about a process. It's all about every single day maximizing the time that you go out on the court to get better. Because this is my belief, is that every single time you go out on the court, you get better or you get worse. You never stay the same. And I think a lot of players will go out there and have practices. And sometimes they'll play too much tennis or too little, but it's about coming off the court, a better tennis player or a better athlete or a better tactical player. Even if you play good or if you play badly, it's irrelevant. It's about having some purpose. It's about having a plan of how you're improving, taking your game in the right direction. And the best players, the best athletes in any industry, I've understood that and really embraced that journey. The best players in the world simplify the process. Just go there, get better today. And then tomorrow is another day. Go get better that day. And the reciprocal event of every single day getting 1% better in maybe one aspect of your game is how the pros, the best players in the world, perform. The best players in the world are still hungry to get better. Look what Novak has done. 24 Grand Slams. The guy's not done. The guy still wants to get better. This guy still wants to improve. So there's no rush for this. Just take it day by day. Get 1% better every single day in one aspect of your game. And then let's see, the sky's the limits. All right, guys, thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed. Again, as always, if you want to watch more videos, hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Looking forward to seeing you on the court next time.